All right, so we're looking at Chapter 3, Source Documents Problem. And this is the first time we've looked at a source documents problem with this software. So I want to guide you through a couple of them to help you get started on this source documents problem. Unlike the problems that you've done in the past, instead of giving you a transaction, it's giving you a picture. And the picture is your source document. And from it, they expect you to be able to make the correct journal entry. All right, so again, if you press this little thumbtack in the top right corner, you'll be able to manipulate this screen and move it around, and that's what I've done here to put it next to my general journal. And so looks like there's 17 source documents here, and it looks like they're already in chronological order. And so I'm just going to start with one, and I'm going to work my way over through the 17 transactions and post them into the general journal. So if you want, you can put my screen on one side of your computer, and then you could be working on the source documents problem at the same time on the other side of your computer if your monitor allows for that. There should be a way for you to manipulate the screen to where you can move me over to the side a little bit. All right, so this first source document that we're looking at is a receipt, and it's receipt number 1. And if you guys remember from the beginning of class, one of the things I said is whenever you see the receipt as your source document, or your document number is starting with an R, what do you already know is going to likely be happening? Cash is going to be debited, right? Because typically you're giving out receipts when you have received cash from somewhere, okay? And in this instance, it looks like it's from the owner, and it's because and the reason I'm saying that is because it says investment, right? It says June 1st, Henry White investment. So if I was looking at this source document, what I would hear from this source document is received cash from the owner as an investment. And so that's something that you guys have seen over and over again since chapter 1. So the first step is to put the date, which is June the 1st. And since this is the first entry on the page of this general journal, I'm going to put June 1. I'm going to put the month as well. So anytime you start a new page, you want to be sure that you put the month. But as long as it's already on the page, you can just put the date. And so I received cash from Henry White. So cash is going to be the account that's being debited and is increasing by $4,000. And then I need to know what the other account is that's affected in this transaction. And when the owner made an investment, the other account that we hit other than cash was capital, right? So it was the owner's capital account. So I'm going to look at the chart of accounts, and I'm going to scroll down to the equity section, and I'm going to grab the owner's name and capital for that capital account. I'll paste that in, and then $4,000 being credited here. Now I'm not done yet. My fourth and final step is to put the document number. This is receipt number 1, so I'm going to put R1. All right, so now you've seen the source document and receipt and how that would work. And I think this is a good rule of thumb. You can test it as you go through the chapter. Anytime you see a receipt, is cash being debited? That might be a good rule of thumb for chapter 3. If you see a receipt, cash is debited. All right, so here's my second source document, and it looks like it's a check stub. So it looks like the actual physical check has been torn off and mailed to Worldwide Supply Company. So from this source document, I should gather that we paid cash for supplies, or we paid cash on account to Worldwide Supply Company for supplies. So if this is all of the information that I have, I think I'm just going to assume that we paid cash for supplies. And if we've paid cash, and this is a check number, a good rule that you might follow is anytime you see a check as your source document, cash is going to be credited. So then I got to figure out what is being debited here, and the other account being debited would be supplies, because supplies is increasing since I just purchased that. all of the information that I need is up here on the top portion of this check stub. So I paid $300 for supplies. So I'm debiting supplies to increase it by 300. I'm crediting cash to decrease it by 300. And my source document number is check number 1. So I'm going to put C1. All right, so now you've seen a receipt. That's when we've received cash. You've seen a check. That's when we've paid cash. Let's look at transaction number 3. Transaction number 3 looks like another check as well, and this one is for June rent. So the two accounts that are going to be affected here is cash and rent expense. So remember, rent expense has a normal debit balance, so it's going to increase with a debit and it's going to decrease with a credit. So rent expense is increasing by $600. And again, whenever I see a check stub, more likely than not, cash is being credited. So we're paying for the June rent, $600 on June the 5th. This is check number 2, so I'll put C2 as my document number. And I'm ready to go to my next transaction. Number 4 is a memorandum. And it looks like I bought supplies on account. So that means that I increased my supplies, but now I owe someone money. So supplies is an asset account. It has a normal debit balance, so it's going to increase with a debit. So I'm going to put the date here, which is June the 8th, and I'm going to increase my supplies by $300. And then the other thing that I need to increase is a liability account, accounts payable to Atlas Supplies. So I'm going to go over to the chart accounts and I'm going to look at my liabilities. Here's my accounts payable for Atlas Supplies. So I'm going to be increasing the amount that I owe Atlas Supplies by $300. And my source document is memorandum number 1. Okay, so I'm concerned with this number over here, not the form. So I'm going to go M1. So memorandum number 1. I'm going to go on to my next transaction. Number 5, it looks like it's a check, so I'm going to skip this one because we've already done several examples of a check. This one looks like it'd be utilities expense. There's another check on the 11th. I'm going to skip that one as well because it looks like we're paying Atlas what we owe them. So I'm going to decrease the accounts receivable and I'm going to decrease cash. I'm going to decrease not the accounts payable. I'm going to decrease the accounts payable here. And I'm going to decrease cash on the June 11th one. And then on the 17th, it looks like we have, on June the 12th, we have a tape. Anytime you have a calculator tape, it's a good indication that sales is going to be credited. So sales is credited here, and this is our cash register. We're concerned with this bottom amount, the 600. So this is sold services for cash or received cash for sales of $600 for the day. So I'm going to increase cash, increase sales, put my document number as T12. Look at transaction number 8 is a sales invoice. So this one I sold on account. We can see the date here is the 15th. So this is a sale on account. So somebody owes me money. It looks like Jay Puckett owes me money. So I'm going to look at the accounts receivable for Jay Puckett. I'm going to increase it by the total amount of the sales invoice of $1,100. And then I'm going to increase my sales by $1,100 as well. And this would be sales invoice number 1. So I'd put S1. And then number 9 looks like it's a check for insurance. So this is going to be prepaid insurance increasing here on June the 16th and cash decreasing. On the 10th, it looks like another calculator tape on June 19th. So I'm going to skip that one. We've done one like it already. On the 11th, looks like another check for miscellaneous expense. I'm sorry, that's on the 23rd. So I'm going to skip that one. On the 12th, we have another calculator tape. So received cash for sales on the 26th. All right, the next is a check for miscellaneous expense. So we've seen that before on June 29th. On the 14th transaction on June 29th again, it looks like we have a receipt. So we're receiving cash on account. Somebody owes us money. They're paying us what they owe us. There's another check on June 29th. And then we have another check on June the 30th where the owner is withdrawing money. So we'll hit the drawing account and reduce cash. And now we're ready for the next page on the 17th. So I'm going to go to page 2 here. They don't have a place for me to write the page number, so I'm not going to worry about that on this problem. But when I put the date in for this calculator tape, I need to be sure that I include the month. Since this is the first entry on this new page, I need to include the month there. And you guys have seen a calculator tape. This is received cash from sales, so I'll be affecting cash and sales for that $350. And so you guys should be good to go on that source documents problem. So once you're finished up with that, be sure that you look at the chapter review and that you're ready to go for the test tomorrow.